wanted to chat with you guys about quickly is some facts that are in the news right now, and we're just gonna just have a couple good think smart ideas on this and go from there. So today I'm using two websites for some of the information that I'm referring to, and I watch the news every day, guys, like all day, pretty much. I mean, our whole family is like that. We're just news hounds. But anywho, usafacts.org, and also the website for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, DHS.org. So last week, on the 10th of July, 361 illegal immigrants were arrested at these grow farms, these pot grow farms in California. Well, 14 of those were minors, and 10 of those 14 were not here with anybody. They're not staying with family at all. So those 10 have been brought into protective custody. But according to those sites that I mentioned, 300,000 unaccompanied children have come in through the southern border states, okay? And apparently it's a challenge to locate all those kiddos. I know that yesterday, I heard President Trump say that about 10,000 of them have been found and processed. But to give you an example, there was one week in November, I believe it was last November, or it might have been the year before. Anyways, this information is on the websites. 2,400 kiddos were released, and they were supposed to go to sponsors, right? A parent, a legal guardian, a family member here in the U.S. But when the follow-up was done, only 1,000 of those kiddos were able to even be tracked. So where did the other 1,400 go? And that is just 1 week. So, this was happening during the border crisis, okay, that was going on for 4 years. And so you just multiply that statistic out over 4 weeks, over months and years. So we know that Congressman Crenshaw, he had a 12-year-old little girl be brought to his office. She had been brought here from South America, and she was, put in the pipeline of the sex trade. And she described to the congressman how she was raped by 12 men, 12 different men every day. And that went on for over a year before she was rescued. I believe by ICE. I'm not sure if it was ICE that rescued her. But anyway, she was able to come out of that hellhole that she was living and is alive. But how many other kids, same situation, brought up through the border, put in a pipeline to be trafficked or raped, they don't all live. They die. So just to briefly touch on that arrest in California this past week, here's some of the rap sheets that the illegal immigrants had that were arrested. Santos Alberto Rodriguez Jacinto, illegal alien from El Salvador, was arrested for terroristic threats. That's great. In 2006 and 2007, he was arrested. Josefina Lopez Martinez, an illegal alien from Mexico, was convicted of willful cruelty to a child in California. She was arrested and convicted on that charge in 2023. Jorge Luis Anaya Garcia, an illegal alien from Mexico, was arrested on intent to sell narcotics. Jose Vasquez Lopez, also arrested, was previously removed from the United States on 5 separate occasions and convicted of battery. So an assault charge in the state of Florida. I mean, I could go on and on. There's several of these here that are listed on the DHS website, but these are serious crimes, and these people were working. How much do you want to bet that they were not even getting minimum wage? And probably being, paid under the table, but not minimum wage. And, I'm just wondering. I'd like more information on that, but that wasn't available when I made this video. But Graham Farah is the co-founder and president of Glass House Farms, where most of the arrests were taking place. This is a California cannabis farm, and he apparently donated $10,000 to Governor Gavin Newsom's gubernatorial campaign. So, I just feel like there is a circle going on here, these puzzle pieces. Where do the migrants live, right? Who's paying for their housing? Who's helping them with food? We know that California Catholic Charities assists, and they assist here too. Here in Nevada, I've seen the Catholic Charities offices. They are an agency. They're huge. They are a nonprofit that had offices and locations all along the southern border, and there was reporting showing them bringing over and assisting illegal people crossing the Rio Grande River, I believe it was. There was live footage of that. So Catholic Charities helps bring over illegal folks, and then they have offices, storefronts set up here in Nevada, I'm sure, I would believe in California as well, where they connect the illegal immigrants with TANF, which is free rent money that you and I pay for. It's the taxpayers that provide that money, as well as the SNAP food cards for free groceries, and then whatever other assistance they're getting, maybe on their energy bill. But that should be for Americans who are in a hard situation, not people who break the law to get here, right? And I can say that because we're here, because my grandfather immigrated legally from France through Ellis Island, and he had to know the language, he had to have a sponsor, and he had to have a skill so he could work, which he did. So, he spoke French, of course, and Italian, but he knew the English language, came here and worked legally, all done legally. So, of course, we're a nation of immigrants, and I don't believe most Americans are down on immigrants coming here, especially if they have skills that they can bring to bear. So it's not about that. But my question is, what's going to happen to that business owner? Is he going to be arrested? Is he going to be held accountable for exploiting these illegal immigrants, these children? Because we need to connect these children with their families. They need to go back to their families. And I know that Trump was saying about 10,000 of them have been processed, but that is not nearly enough, right? Go Trump. I mean, that's great, but we need to keep moving that forward. But I believe that it's a good thing that we are now looking at cutting off the money to these nonprofits who are basically breaking our laws. Okay, they are breaking the Homeland Security Act of 2002. Okay, which created ICE, which stands for Immigration Custom Enforcement. They're the enforcement side of the law that passed. And the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, okay, CBP, those two work together to control what comes in. Guns, agro-terrorism items such as manipulated seeds, fungus that can totally hurt our corn and wheat crops, drugs, of course, fentanyl. So those two work together. And when Catholic Charities flubs all that law and helps people come in and then connects them with taxpayer benefits, they too should be held accountable. I'm glad that the Oversight Project, I believe that's what it's called, is working with the administration right now to look at cutting off federal funds to these nonprofits, because that was a whole money chain happening heavily during the Biden administration years, where federal money was being routed to nonprofits through grants, and these nonprofits were doing illegal things with it. So because the government couldn't pay to have illegal immigrants come in and work for less than minimum wage at these kinds of companies, they would pay through grants to agencies and nonprofits like Catholic Charities and have them do the dirty work for them, have them break the law for them. And now there are efforts to cut that out. Um, so I just want to pause for a second and just give some shout outs to the current administration, because they have done so much to shut this border problem down, and now are going after the nonprofits that were in cahoots. Um, Basically, I want to connect it with the cartels, that the nonprofits are aiding and abetting the cartels, which are involved in this network of trafficking the children. Let me just read you the stats on that, okay? America's sex trade business. Now, this was during Biden's term, okay? So, this is off the DHS website, I believe. 96% of Hispanic sex trafficking victims are women and girls from Mexico or Latin America. 70% of traffickers are of Latin American descent, okay? 60 to 80% of the female migrants from Central America are assaulted on their journey, sexually assaulted. So most of these females are raped on the way over here from Central America. Six out of 10, 8 out of 10 females. 60% of Latin American children who cross the border are caught by the cartels and exploited for child pornography or drug trafficking. Okay, so just let that hit you. These are kiddos that are being used for child porn. This is the biggest nightmare we can think of. And there's been quite a few, right? We've just been riddled with, crazy headlines, I feel like, for the last few years. But this issue of children being grabbed and nabbed by the cartel, or even assisted by the cartel to get here, but when they get here, 60% of the children, remember I said 300,000 children? 60% of that number, we believe they are reporting, are being used in child porn, okay, or drug trafficking. Okay, lastly, 29% of victims report that they received fake job offers, these are the victims, only to learn the truth of that job too late. Okay. It has been estimated that 200,000 children have already been trafficked. Okay, so, and it might be more than that when they're saying 60 to 80%. So, again, that's just right off of the website. So I'm glad that the Trump administration, glad doesn't even cover it, is rolling up their sleeves to work on this problem. And you know what I would really love to see is the Democrats join in this. I would really love to see Democrats get on board with going after these criminals, going after this cartel network of drug trafficking, cartel smuggling, child rape. I'd love to see anybody and everybody jump on this train and come against Catholic Charities, who's part of the problem. As far as I can see, they are part of this problem. Also, the mayor of LA recently, a few days ago, there was a headline that she's giving illegal migrants in LA $200 each, like a cash type card. So she's just basically thumbing her nose at the law that we have. Okay, so she too is part of the problem. How can you be a public official and break our laws? How can you break the Homeland Security Law of 2002 like that? And also, the person that owned the Glass House marijuana farm, he gave Gavin Newsom 10 grand for his gubernatorial campaign. So, I just see connections here left and right. You have people employing illegal immigrants than giving money to Democrats. Democrats go after ICE, who is trying to go after the criminal migrants first, and then, as we can get more folks out, that'll come to pass at some point. But really, it's the criminal population that they are deporting. Um, and so, if you are going against law enforcement that is just going after the laws that we create in our country, then you are part of the problem. Gavin Newsom is breaking the law. And so is the mayor of LA. These people hate America. These kinds of people, these are two Democrats, but anybody that's doing this is against public safety, against the safety of these children that are being brought up here, who are now being forced into labor. They're minors. A lot of them are really young, and they're working beside people who are convicted rapists, violent assault, drug smugglers, gun charges. These minors were working alongside these criminals. So apparently, the mayors and Gavin and anybody else a part of this scheme doesn't care too much about the safety of those children or the other people working alongside, these criminals, And I understand that those people are coming here for a better life. Everybody understands that. But they need to do it the right way. Okay? So, guys, we want Democrats to come up with some better candidates in their future elections, and when the midterms cycle comes up. You guys, you Democrats that are watching me, you need to find better people. Do not be looking at Kamala Harris, because when she was in charge of the border, she took no substantive action whatsoever to help that situation out. That is not a leader. She was part of the problem. So do not be looking at her. Do not be looking at Gavin. For sure, you need to find better people. And we know that California tried to find better by doing a recall of Gavin, and that wasn't successful, bringing Larry Elders in. But you're going to have to find better. If I know that's about 40% Republican, or 40% not Democrat. But I'm sure that there are Democrats in California who don't like what they're seeing, because we see an exodus of people leaving California. So those of you that are staying, you've got to vet people that are not politicians. Find people that are interrupters, okay, like a Trump. Okay, find people like that in your own party, but people that care about law and order, people that actually care about America. Find those Democrats. It's okay if they don't, follow the party line lock, stock, and barrel, because the party is becoming so out there. They are becoming associated with criminality. So you need to find better folks. If you don't want more and more and more people leaving your state, and then what you'll have are many. And if you keep fighting ICE, you're going to have a lot of, decrease in funding, because Trump is getting sick of what's going on and he's removing funding. You guys need to just think smart and do better for yourselves. And you need to separate out these people in your party that are just taking you under, that are not deep thinkers, that are not law-abiding folk. So we need to fight, guys. This numbness that we have regarding what happened at the border and all the kiddos that are here and how many have passed away. We need to fight that. That normalization of all that has gone on in the last few years regarding kids and women being trafficked up here, and then the fentanyl, all of that needs to be ever present in our minds, and we need to steady be partnering with ICE, partnering with ICE, following the law and cleaning up this situation and caring about these women and kids. Um, so that's what's going on, guys. I just wanted to give you a quick update and just encourage Californians to push out Gavin. Do not vote in Kamala. Look for people who are responsible. That what they are doing in the mayor of LA, the opposite of responsible, the opposite of caring about people. Okay. All right, guys. So let me know your thoughts, and I will see you on the next video. Let's find people that don't hate America, that don't hate our laws, that don't hate the migrants coming up. All right. Good job, everybody. See you next time.